The metal cuffs snapped around his wrists, biting in his skin still warm from a cross-country flight. A camera phone's flash burst, locking the moment into memory like a scar. Just an hour earlier, he was Lionel Marks, Deputy Chief of Operations at the Department of Homeland Intelligence. Now, standing under the buzzing fluorescent lights of East Bridge Regional Airport, he was just another suspected problem. The sky outside was painted in bruised hues of dusk, humidity clinging to the air like a second skin. After a flight from Denver that felt more like a hostage situation in the clouds, Lionel wanted nothing more than his car, a long shower, and peace. He moved through the terminal with the precision of someone used to being watched, tailored navy blue suit sharp enough to slice air, a briefcase always glued to his right hand. Contained within that case were files classified, well, beyond the reach of ordinary citizens, data critical to national operations. But none of that mattered to the two uniformed officers stationed near a juice kiosk. "Yo, Jarvis," the younger one nudged his partner. "That guy? Clean suit, no entourage, no eye contact. Looks too polished." Officer Nolan Jarvis, veteran of airport patrol, sized up Lionel with a narrowed gaze and quiet suspicion. "He doesn't belong here this late. Let's see what he's about." Lionel spotted the movement, the glance, the shift in posture. Decades in federal service had taught him how to read body language better than lie detectors. He kept walking, kept breathing, didn't blink. Behind him, boots closed the distance. "Excuse me, sir," came a voice. "Traveling alone?" He turned slowly, voice firm. "Yes." "Where are you headed?" Jarvis pressed, already sounding like the question was an accusation. Lionel's eyes flicked to the officer's hand, just a little too close to his baton. "Is there a reason you're stopping me?" "You fit a profile," Jarvis replied, letting the silence after the word do most of the talking. Mid-50s, dressed up, carrying a secure case. "Could be something illegal." Or, Lionel replied calmly, "You've just described a senior government employee heading home." Jarvis stepped closer, cutting into his space. "Gonna need to see what's in the case." Lionel tightened his grip. "You're out of line. I'm Lionel Marks. I work for Homeland Intelligence." Blank stares. Then, mocking laughter. "Got ID to back that up?" asked the younger cop, smirking like he was catching a kid in a lie. Without flinching, Lionel reached into his suit and produced his badge, government sealed, photo ID, clearance tags visible under holographic light. But Jarvis didn't take it, just stared like the badge was a forgery. "You can flash some fancy badge all you want," he muttered. "Still doesn't mean squat." A small crowd was starting to gather, passers-by curious or bored. A woman paused with a stroller. Someone hit record on their phone. "I'm following federal protocol," Lionel stated. "You're not. We're the protocol tonight," said the younger officer, badge number barely visible. "You're coming with us." They moved in, voices raised, authority flexed. Jarvis reached for the briefcase. Lionel stepped back. "You do not have clearance to open that." "Hands where we can see them," barked the officer, loud and performative. They took him down like he was a threat. No resistance. No help either. Just a quiet refusal to be anything other than dignified. As the briefcase hit the floor with a heavy thud, a gasp rose from the spectators. Phones were up now, dozens. Their screens recording every moment, every mistake. Jarvis twisted Lionel's arm, slapped cold cuffs on. The younger one, Mackie, recited a Miranda warning like it was a joke he didn't believe in. Lionel stared straight ahead, voice even. "Do you understand the legal exposure you've just created? I'm a federal officer being detained without cause." "We're securing the airport," Mackie shot back, face flushed with defensive righteousness. "You're being uncooperative." "Uncooperative?" Lionel's voice dropped like a blade. "You haven't seen uncooperative." He looked past them, looked at the crowd, at the cameras. "I've identified myself. I presented documentation. If you keep going without checking who I am, this gets bigger than either of you can control." Mackie motioned to a bench. "You're done talking." They pushed him down. Briefcase ignored, left on the floor like trash. Someone in the crowd, a middle-aged woman, shouted, "Why is he being arrested? What did he even do? Keep moving." Jarvis snapped, but the crowd didn't move. They leaned in. "Check his ID again," Jarvis muttered, unsure now. Mackey scooped it up from the ground. His eyes went wide as he turned the badge over. Jarvis, this thing's real. Jarvis snatched it. The photo, the seal, the clearance strip. His swagger evaporated. Where did you get this? I earned it, Lionel said. 28 years in this business. Probably helped train your training officers. Jarvis hesitated. His confidence crumbled. And then, radio static. A dispatch call. Terminal C. Priority alert. Level 542. DHS en route. All units stand by. What's 542? Mackey asked, panicking. Jarvis swallowed. High clearance personnel, mishandled. The gravity of the situation hit like a gunshot. Mackey rushed to uncuff him. Dropped the keys. Picked them up with shaking hands. This was just procedure, he stammered. Lionel rubbed his wrists. Stop calling me, sir, like it'll wipe the record clean. Jarvis offered the briefcase. Lionel didn't take it. You don't touch classified files without authorization, he said, not moving an inch. The terminal went silent as Lionel stood. Adjusted his jacket. He looked both men in the eye. Pray your supervisors are smarter than you. The crowd didn't applaud. They didn't move. They just watched, recording. A man in a suit approached. Sharp suit. Military posture. I know who he is, the man said. Saw him give testimony to Congress last week. You two just detained a Homeland official on camera. Then the terminal supervisor arrived, face drained of color. Deputy Chief Marks, she gasped. I'm so sorry. She turned to the officers. You detained a DHS official and didn't call oversight. Are you insane? He refused to comply. Jarvis began. No, Lionel cut in. I complied. I identified myself. You didn't care. At that moment, two agents in black suits parted the crowd. Homeland badges visible. Sir, are you all right? One asked. I'm fine, Lionel replied. The agents turned on Jarvis and Mackey like wolves. Who put hands on him? Neither cop answered. Get the security feed. Body cams too. Internal Affairs will handle the rest. The lead agent barked. The agents confirmed Lionel's ID via biometric scan. He was escorted out. No apology needed. The damage was done. As Lionel stepped out into the thick evening air, the chaos of the terminal muffled behind him. Something settled inside him. Not peace, not victory, but clarity. What had just happened wasn't new. It wasn't surprising. It wasn't even rare. But it was public, documented, undeniable. The black sedan waiting at the curb wasn't just a ride anymore. It was his next move. Inside, Agent Lila Mendoza, sharp-eyed and still fuming, waited in silence. She glanced at his wrists, red and marked. Her jaw clenched, but she said nothing. She didn't need to. 3 videos, she said finally, already viral. National coverage in 20 minutes. Let them watch, Lionel answered. He didn't mean it as vengeance. This wasn't about punishing 2 officers who let bias steer their decisions. This was about forcing the nation to reckon with what it still didn't want to see. That credentials didn't shield you. That service didn't make you immune. That respect had to be earned twice as hard when you didn't look like what people expected power to look like. He sat back his seat, watching Eastbridge shrink in the rearview mirror. This wasn't about 2 bad cops, he said. This is about a broken lens. And I'm done pretending it's not cracked. Mendoza turned her eyes to the road. You want to press charges? No. I want change. And I want the entire system to feel uncomfortable until it does. The next morning, Lionel stood at the press podium with no script, no spin team. Just truth. Not just his truth, but one too many had lived in silence. He didn't call for heads to roll. He called for reflection, for retraining, for accountability that didn't wait for cell phone footage to do its job. He made it clear this wasn't a fluke, it was a pattern. And patterns, once exposed, could no longer be ignored. When the press conference ended, no one moved right away. No follow-up questions, just silence, the kind that follows truth when it lands hard. Later, in a sterile conference room with no cameras, he faced the 2 officers again. Not as an enemy, but as a mirror. He didn't yell. He didn't humiliate. He educated. You saw a threat. I was a man. That disconnect, that's your failure to own and fix. Then he walked out, not with anger, but with purpose. He He wasn't looking for closure. He was forcing the door open for the next person who looked like him and dared to walk through it carrying authority.